Welcome to ComSpark. Today we are in Cincinnati, Ohio. My name is Rich Seibert, and I will be your guest host today. I would like to welcome our guest, Juanene Wong, Vice President of IT, Infrastructure, and Operations at Belcan. We're going to talk about a few things related to the IT industry and your role. What has been the most satisfying accomplishment in your career?
Well, I'm not going to disclose my age, but I can tell you that I can look back now in my career and really kind of enjoy the fact that I do see myself as somewhat of a pioneer. I remember back in the day when I started in IT, I actually came out of the accounting field, which is where most of IT came from. And how that became to be was that most of the time I was back there working on spreadsheets, printing reports, but I actually found out I was more fascinated with the computers that were preparing those reports and how modems became a cutting-edge type technology back then. So I think when I look back at it, I used to be the only one in these conferences that was a female. There was no line at the bathroom for me. So to me, it's a real accomplishment now, and I really enjoy going to these conferences and seeing the line of the females that are now getting involved in the IT field, because I think now they really have a better and stronger voice in that.
No doubt, having a mom and a wife and 5 sisters, it's girl power is important to me. And it's exciting to see so many different people from a diversity standpoint getting into the field. What are some of the challenges you're most concerned about within the IT field?
I think the new generation that I see coming in, they're very skilled, but they're very niched, because a lot of the IT as it exists today has become so specialized. So many of the technical people that are coming in, they have adopted a very specific technology that they're good at. I think where we're missing now is we're missing the original fundamentals and the components of what that technology, how is it delivered. Mm-hmm. I don't speak to a lot of people that really have an understanding and an appreciation for what goes into the screens that they're administering. I think when it comes to the infrastructure of IT, people don't really understand it or appreciate it, but they certainly know when it's not working correctly. I think that we've kind of gone away from looking at an IT generalist as a true career path, and I think that is really where I would see people who really want to become interested again, because I think there really is a need for an IT generalist. You get
siloed, right?
You do,
and finding the talent that has that broad appeal.
Yes.
From a knowledge base is unique
yes.
these days. So I agree. I understand, because when we're in a situation, we're talking to so many different people and so many different stakeholders in an organization. It's hard to get consensus.
Right. Well, and when you're talking about an overall issue, you don't have 1 or 2 people anymore in a room to talk about it. You have to have 4, because each person, their level of expertise or their skill set stops at a very specific part, because somebody else then picks up at that piece and moves on. So you end up having much more people that have to be involved in both solutions and in problems.
Absolutely. I know that Belcan is very involved with the Cincinnati Public School District, mm-hmm. With their cybersecurity initiative. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I absolutely believe that the Cincinnati area's got a great educational pipeline, and I think certainly within the last few years we've seen that even growing. Obviously, even with the LEAD initiatives and working with ComSpark, the original concept of that is how do we get high school kids involved and stay involved in the Cincinnati area. And certainly the program now for the Cyber Academy that Belcan has helped to develop, I think really puts cybersecurity talent back here in Cincinnati. The way that the program is set up is that for high school students that have a true interest in that type of field, they can go through the curriculum. It's an online curriculum, but it's vetted for them, and they are followed through on their career path or their educational path through their high school years. The benefit to that is that once they graduate from high school, they can immediately enter into the job field. They will have very specific cybersecurity skills. For those that want to go to that next level and they want to pursue higher education, I think that pursuing that while coming out of the Cyber Academy not only puts them in a great place for where they want to go career-wise, but also helps them probably get a better job that will help them pay for the tuition costs for their higher education. So I think Absolutely. Whether they jump right into the field of work or they go straight to education, I think either way they're going to have a great foundation.
I mean, that's why I love ComSpark. We've got a community of people who work together to make sure we keep the talent here in Cincinnati.
Yes.
And not lose them to Chicago, New York, San Francisco. We've got a lot of great companies in this town, a lot of great technologists. So it's important. So I applaud you all for what you're doing with CPS. It's I've been involved in that for quite some time, and it's a neat. So they'll walk out of that degree with some security clearances, correct?
Yes, correct. Yeah, and absolutely, one of my favorite days at ComSpark is the day when the high school kids are there, because I mean they come in. I mean there are so many of them, and what I absolutely love seeing is that they are so dressed up. And you'll see one or two that are just in their suits and their ties, and I'm so prideful just to even see them coming through there and really taking an interest and feeling that they're being looked at and they have a voice.
And they shake your hand, they
Yes,
look in the
it
eye.
is. It's fun.
It's just
Very fun.
you know, you look at the youth. There's some challenges, right? But then you see these young men and women come in, representing their schools. One was my high school. I was like, oh my God, this is great. So I shook all their hands and welcomed them all in LaSalle High School. And I'm like, God, this is great, guys, that you're here. Make sure you take this in, because this wasn't available. This kind of stuff wasn't available to us back in the 80s.
Right.
Showing my age too. So as far as technology, there's a lot. You know, the buzzwords are digital experience, transformation, end user experience. Cloud is hot. What are some of the emerging technologies that excite you?
I think for me personally, I like the data analytics and the AI that's coming up. I think that's great. You know, I've always been, I love data. I always have. My phrase always was, data doesn't lie. So I think that smart companies are understanding that if they can determine that their data is an asset, and they can certainly develop and understand what it is, what it's going to do for them. I just think some of that stuff is it's fun.
Sure. So what's on the horizon? What are some of the cool projects you've got going on at Belcan right now?
Well, I don't know about cool, because I am in operations.
Right.
Operations is not cool. But for this year, we're certainly tackling several integrations, some mergers and acquisitions that have taken place at Belcan. So that's an ongoing initiative for them. I think we're going to be doing our data center move hopefully by the end of this year. So that in itself is a very large endeavor. So we're going to be partnering not only with multiple stakeholders internal at Belcan, but also leveraging our partner community to help us with that.
It's a great place to be, Belcan. I love working with Belcan. A lot of great people. I know Terry very well, and Lance, and we're so glad that you're all involved at ComSpark.
It's been fun, and actually the fun part was that I started at ComSpark before I got to Belcan.
Right.
So
yeah, I know. Yeah.
So I got to be one of the original founders of ComSpark, and actually I got to go through the first venue down at the Phoenix. Walked through there a couple weeks before that, and it was daunting. But you know what? Steve's vision happened, and I can remember being down there, and he had these great ideas, and he's talking. We're going to have this here, and the band's going to be there. And I was like, Steve, I'm not getting this yet.
Right.
By golly, that band was there.
Look at where we started ComSpark then 4 years ago to where we are now and where we can be. Now we're in Columbus and Louisville. We're going to be expanding out.
Yes.
We're doing audio podcasts, videos with thought leaders like yourself. So it's been a great ride. But thank you so much for your time today. I really enjoyed talking to you, and perhaps we can get together later and continue our discussion.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Thanks,
I would like to thank Juanene for joining us today, and for those listening to the interview. To learn more, go to comspark.tech.